Hello and thank you for tuning in to VTV News, brought to you live from Hanoi. My name is Ling Hương and here are the headlines for this half-hour bulletin. The 13th Asia Security Summit, also known as Shangri-La Dialogue 2014, started its plenary session this morning. Green building material, new trend for Vietnamese construction industry. And city without secret smoke to become reality. Let's go to Nha Trang City to check this. First up, the 13th Asia Security Summit, also known as the Shangri-La Dialogue 2014, started its plenary session this morning with a speech from U.S. Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel. In his speech, Hagel affirmed that the United States supported resolving all tensions by peaceful means and in accordance with international law. He added that the United States opposes any country going against that principle.
During his speech, U.S. Secretaries of Defense Chuck Hagel talked about the four main guidelines that the U.S. will follow to support peace, security, and stability in the Asia-Pacific region.
And I think John is first, encouraging the peaceful resolution of disputes, upholding principles including the freedoms of navigation, and standing firm against coercion, intimidation, and aggression. Second, building a cooperative regional architecture based on international rules and norms. Third, enhancing the capabilities of our allies and partners to provide security for themselves in the region. And fourth, strengthening our own regional defense capabilities.
Hagel also talked about China's recent actions in the EC and spoke about the U.S. stance in regard to them.
The United States has been clear and consistent. We take no position on competing territorial claims, but we firmly oppose any nation's use of intimidation, coercion, or the threat of force to assert those claims. We also oppose any effort by any nation to restrict overflight or freedom of navigation, whether from military or civilian vessels, from countries big or small.
Hagel's speech and the Japanese Prime Minister's opening remarks during the first 2 working days of the Shangri-La dialogues have affirmed the consensus of the international community to resolve all tensions by peaceful means with respect to international laws.
The Vietnamese delegation has held several meetings with foreign partners on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue 2014 after their arrival in Singapore on May 30th.
Within the framework of the Shangri-La Dialogue, Defense Minister General Phung Quang Thanh held several meetings with his New Zealand counterpart Jonathan Coleman and the Singaporean Defense Minister Ng An Hang. During these meetings, General Thanh and his counterparts expressed the concern over the situation in the EC and its threat to regional peace and security. Regarding China's placement of its illegal oil rig within Vietnam's exclusive economic zone and continental shelf, Thanh also reiterated Vietnam's determination to resolve the situation by peaceful means. Meanwhile, Deputy Defense Minister Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Chí Vịnh met with the head of the Russian delegation, Deputy Defense Minister Anatoly Antonov. At the meeting, Antonov expressed Russia's support for Vietnam in resolving the situation by peaceful means. Meanwhile, Vịnh also held talks with the head of the Chinese delegation, Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the People's Liberation Army Lieutenant General Wang Won-yong. At the dialogue, Vịnh clearly stated Vietnam's stance regarding China's illegal placement of their oil rig in Vietnam's waters. He affirmed that Vietnam opposed China's actions and was resolute in its determination to bring the situation to a peaceful conclusion.
Vietnamese fishermen making their living on their traditional fishing grounds now have their lives threatened every day by the violent and hostile actions by the Chinese. Our following report brings you the story of the fishermen of the DNA 90152 fishing vessel, which was rammed into and sunk by Chinese ships earlier this week.
10 Da Nang fishermen of the ship DNA 90152 embarked on a 20-day fishing trip with hopes of making a huge catch. However, they made it back to Lisun port on Thursday afternoon with only their lives.
Our ship and two other Vietnamese fishing ships encountered a group of Chinese ships. There were so many that I couldn't count them all. We were chased by them and then they rammed us and sank our ship.
The fishermen returned to Lisun port on Thursday afternoon and made it back home to Da Nang City by 11 p.m. Having lost all their belongings on board their sunken ship, the men came home with only the clothes that they were wearing.
The Chinese threw glass bottles on the deck of our ships as they chased us, and then they rammed and sank us. I was aware that we may be chased away from our fishing ground by the Chinese, but I was shocked that this time they intended to sink us on purpose.
Da Nang fishermen have been fishing in the waters surrounding the Paracel Islands for many generations, and they've shown their determination to hold on to their fishing ground at any cost.
I am still ready to go on fishing trips again, even at my age. The Hoàng Sa and Trường Sa archipelagos belong to Vietnam, so we have no fear about going out again.
The owner of the sunken ship revealed that the ship is valued at more than 3 billion Vietnam dong, or $141,000, not counting the belongings of his 10-man crew.
I will do my best to repair my ship as soon as possible so that my fellow fishermen can sail again and continue to earn a living.
The ship DNA 90152 was towed back to Lisun port this Friday, and it is scheduled to set sail immediately after its repairs are complete.
Following the incident in Bình Dương province, in which extremists took advantage of protests to damage and loot businesses, a recent report of the People's Committee of Bình Dương province shows that 97% of enterprises have returned to normal operation. The remaining 3% of enterprises have stated that they would resume operations in July. Enterprises which signed contracts with domestic insurers have revealed that damage evaluation is currently underway to calculate compensation claims. The provincial authorities is also seeking ways to support enterprises that only had minor insurance products or had no insurance package at all. It's expected that by the end of June, the Bình Dương Social Insurance Company will renew insurance policies for at least 40,000 laborers. Vietnam is wholly determined to solve the EC issue and protect its sovereign rights by diplomatic measures. Furthermore, the nation also intends to maintain its foreign relations and economic ties with China. Our following report will show you that Cha Vinh province has guaranteed the safety of 1,500 Chinese laborers currently working in the province.
This is one of the meetings between Cha Vinh's municipal government and the contractors that employ Chinese workers. Besides the project's progress, the local authorities are also concerned about the safety of the workers and the security of the projects. Thankfully, a number of harmful activities that could have jeopardized Cha Vinh's production as well as its order and security have been prevented by meaningful communication between the local authorities, investors and employees.
The local branch of the party, the government and the police force have made a combined effort to make the people understand that the situation on the EC has no relation with the Chinese people working here. We've guaranteed their safety and encouraged them to continue working here. The businesses here are very happy to cooperate with the authorities in implementing measures to protect the safety of their workers and maintain public order.
Thanks to the government's proactive measures, Vietnamese people are demonstrating their patriotism in peaceful ways. Vietnam has always considered China a neighbor and has gone to great lengths to protect the investment environment for Chinese businesses. Vietnam also urges Chinese enterprises and workers to support justice and preserve peace in the region.
Our firm has close relations with the local authority. Working in Vietnam, I feel as if I were at home. We'll try to ensure the progress as well as the quality of the project.
Out of 4,000 workers in Chia Vinh, 1,500 are Chinese people who are hardworking and cooperative. Their main goal is to finish all the projects of the Coastal Electricity Center on time, one of which is the Coastal Thermal Electricity Factory No. 1, expected to go into operation by the end of this year.
The American Chamber of Commerce have forecasted that exports of Vietnamese textiles and apparel to the United States will top $9.7 billion by the year end. According to the General Department of Customs, Vietnam had already exported over $8.49 billion worth of goods to the United States in the first 4 months of this year, up 27.5% year-on-year. Among other export items recording significant turnover growth were mobile phones and their components, seafood, machineries, and equipment. Trade experts attributed this impressive result to the great efforts made by Vietnamese firms to ensure their export growth rates in the context of harsher competition from rival countries and stricter U.S. trade barriers. The construction industry has had negative impact on the environment due to the large amount of natural resources it uses. This means that the research and application of environmentally friendly materials has become an urgent mission, not only for the government, but also for enterprises. The use of green building materials will soon become the norm in Vietnam's construction industry.
In recent years, the local building market has welcomed the introduction of adobe brick. Instead of being baked in the oven, which consumes a lot of energy, brick manufacturers use machines to press and block these bricks. Lê Hoài An, director of Hang Minh Company and a leading advocate of adobe bricks in Vietnam, affirms that adobe bricks are now a preference within the local market.
The use of green construction materials is an inevitable trend elsewhere in the world and in Vietnam as well. In recent years, architects have begun designing structures built from green materials. This creates a potential market for adobe brick.
The booth of Pink Ad Ali Company in the Viet Build Fair 2014 is showcasing a new green construction material of pressed bamboo flooring. This product has attracted a lot of customer interest due to its high durability and relatively cheap prices compared to wooden flooring.
Bamboo is an environmentally friendly alternative to wood because it can grow over the course of a few months, compared to timber, which would take decades to generate the same amount. Currently, there is a worldwide trend of replacing wooden products with bamboo ones.
Adobe brick and pressed bamboo flooring are just the first of a whole host of green building materials to be introduced in Vietnam. Green building materials which have a low impact on the environment are commonly used worldwide, especially in developed countries. Addressing the importance of such materials, the head of Vietnam's Institute for Building Materials, Lương Đức Long, affirms that development can only be sustained when it is in line with environmental considerations.
We encourage firms to use green materials wherever possible, and many enterprises have achieved success in producing green materials such as adobe brick or tempered glass. We need to promote these materials so that more customers become aware of them and use them.
Meanwhile, the government and agencies, including the Ministry of Construction, are working on a system to evaluate and classify green products. Green products will certainly be a key factor in the development of Vietnam's modern economy.
Coming up next on VTV News, we'll go to the central city of Nha Trang to see how a city without secret smoke to become reality. Vietnamese Red Cross and the American Red Cross to provide students with life buoys as well as emergency response training.
Vietnam's varied charms are boundless. They will awaken your senses to astonishing wonder. From sight to sound, from smell to taste. You will be touched in ways you've never thought possible. Vietnam is so charming, one visit is never enough.
Welcome back to VTV News, brought to you live from Hanoi. The central city of Hue launched a voluntary summer campaign for young people this morning. Over 1,000 members of the city's Communist Youth Union participated in the event. The launching ceremony included a host of activities such as fundraising for the Love for Hoàng Sa and Trường Sa program and a gift offering ceremony for 27 underprivileged students who had made high academic achievements. Following the launch of this event, the Youth Union members started their summer campaign by cleaning the streets and removing ads posted on walls across the city. The Hue Youth Union has already sketched out various plans to help the local students that are taking this year's university entrance exams. Nha Trang is set to become Vietnam's first smoke-free city. Since the No Smoking Project was introduced in 2012, changes in smoking behaviors have been seen throughout the city. Although there is more to be done, health sector experts believe that with a concerted community effort, the idea of a non-smoking city can become a reality.
In this 10-story hotel, 5 stories have been reserved for non-smokers. Smokers who wish to smoke in their room can only stay in a designated story as assigned to them by the receptionist. In non-smoking story, tourists who smoke will receive a $150 fine. Some argue that this move would discourage tourists from staying there.
To make the environment smoke-free, especially the hotels, and protect the health of the children and ladies who don't smoke, because passive smoking always is dangerous than a smoker.
In the Southern Region bus station, no smoking signs can be seen everywhere. The simple actions has dramatically reduced the number of people smoking in public. These signs are now appearing in many public places all over Nha Trang. Anti-smoking leaflets are also being distributed to many tourism companies in the city. These are just some of the moves that the city authorities have made since 2012 in an effort to transform Nha Trang into a non-smoking city. I think it is better for everyone.
The no smoking campaign is great. It's made the air cleaner and healthier.
The Public Health Association in charge of supervising the no-smoking efforts in Nha Trang have launched a communication campaign in the hope of changing the general perceptions of smoking in public. This is said to be much more effective than imposing on-the-spot fines, which is difficult if not impossible to enforce.
Penalizing smokers is not a top priority for us now. It's better to organize communication campaigns to change people's awareness to discourage them from smoking in the public.
Cigarettes kills 40,000 Vietnamese every year. Also, 33 million adults and 2/3 of all children are exposed to secondhand smoke on a daily basis. Creating a smoke-free city may not be an easy task, but if it is realized, both the local people and the tourism sector will benefit.
The Action Month for Children was launched this morning in Hòa Bình Province by the Ministry of Labor, War Invalids and Social Affairs. The topic for this month is to act towards a violence-free society for children. It is being held to raise awareness for the care and education of children. This month calls for people to join hands in protecting children from violence, exploitation and abuse so that they can live in a safe environment that fosters their future development. For many students living in areas prone to flooding, going to school can be a treacherous journey. In an effort to mitigate the dangers faced by children in such areas, the Vietnamese Red Cross, in accordance with the American Red Cross, are spearheading a program throughout the summer vacation, which will provide students with life buoys as well as emergency response training.
These students face dangers every time they go to school, especially during the rainy season. Statistics shows that drowning is a major cause of deaths among Vietnamese children.
70% approximately of youth in Vietnam do not know how to swim. Now, in terms of the awareness building we provide to them, we tell them that in the case of a natural disaster, flash flooding, typhoons and the like, is to stay away from floodwaters.
As part of the program, the Vietnamese and American Red Cross presented floating backpacks to students and equipped them with the survival skills needed in emergency situations such as earthquake, fires, and flooding. The project is now being implemented in flood-prone provinces including Quảng Nam and Quảng Ngãi.
We donated 4,000 floating backpacks to 25 schools throughout Quảng Nam and Quảng Ngãi provinces. Of course, this cannot meet the full demand, but we are calling for more. More importantly, we want to inform everyone about disaster response training and make them join our course.
During a pre-test, and then in a post-test, 73% have, in terms of storing food or water in safe places, storing important documents, working with their parents to reinforce their homes. They are asked not only to act on the information that they learn, but to share it with their family members.
After the summer break, the students here will begin a new school year and, of course, a new flood season. However, at least over 4,000 students have now been equipped with the skills needed to survive a flood situation.
Propaganda posters like these are familiar to Vietnamese people, not only during times of war, but also at present for the purposes of promoting social or political messages or during national holidays and anniversaries. Today in Culture Watch, we will give you a closer look at how such posters are made by meeting a military artist who has made a career out of this art form.
Having spent nearly 40 years in the military and 30 years as an artist, Colonel Trịnh Bá Quát is among very few military artists who have created propaganda posters throughout their career.
I was once an elite force member, and my division always needs such propaganda posters to encourage and raise awareness among our division and troops. I participated in all aspects of the work back then, from painting to printing, especially on the big ones which were displayed all over the place within my division. That's how my career as a propaganda poster artist began.
Before gaining such popularity like today, Vietnamese propaganda has gone through a history that originated from the wartime in early 20th century.
Vietnamese propaganda posters were widely introduced during the 1940s-1950 period, especially during the American War. Posters from that time reflected the people's lives and war, as well as contributing to the nation's effort in motivating soldiers and people.
Propaganda posters go through several steps with much effort from the artists before making the transition from the initial sketch to the finished poster display on the street. The most important part, though, is defining the spirit of the poster.
Artists must think of the poster's main idea that carries the message specific to the campaign he is working on. After that, the shape and the wording. Propaganda posters differ from other art forms by their bold shapes and lines, and vivid colors set in distinctive contrast for maximum effect when printed on a large scale for display on street corners or public spaces. This is my most recent work, a poster entitled "Fishermen Continue Offshore Fishing and Affirm the Nation's Sovereignty and Integrity."
In the past, without the help of modern technology, artists like Quát had to draw completely by hand, but now design software such as CorelDRAW save a lot of time and effort. Quad first had to do research and find all related articles and images associated with fishermen, fishing, and the nation's islands. He then drew each layer from the background, outlined and colored each character and object. Finally, he assembled all these parts and added the wording to complete the poster.
As an artist, a member of the military, and a citizen, I consider it my responsibility to compose posters for the nation's important events, anniversaries, and political campaigns in order to raise awareness, as well as instruct and motivate Vietnamese people.
Quad is now passing the torch to younger artists through various poster competitions, with him as the head of the organizing board and judging panel. These hundreds of posters, which were submitted in a recent competition, will continue to send out meaningful messages.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. That saying is truer than true when it comes to propaganda posters. These posters aim at leaving strong message and impressing a viewer at their very first glance. That is also what artists like Thich Bao Quát working nights and days to achieve in wartime and at the present. Minh Trang for VTV International.
And now time for a check on what's on in the culture scene next week.
From May 30th to June 30th, a painting, photo, and poetry exhibition themed Life Up and Down, posing life in the bustling city streets with more relaxed, serene lifestyles, will be held at the French Cultural Center L'Espace, featuring Marie-Cécile and Eric Huyn as participating artists. From June 4th to 12th in Hanoi, 7 award-winning films will be screened within the 6th Annual European Vietnamese Documentary Film Festival. After Hanoi, the festival will take place in Ho Chi Minh City from June 21st to 29th. The Sofitel Legend Metropole Hanoi will launch an exhibition on Le Petit Prince from June 1st to June 30th, offering Vietnamese fans a chance to discover one of the most beloved children's stories of all time, and it will feature scans of original manuscript pages produced by the book's author, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry.
And now let's take a look at the weather updates. And that's the end of our news bulletin at this hour. Thank you very much for watching. Go to vtv4.vn for other updates, and goodbye for now.